Last week, we talked about using the mouse drag method to make a clickable and draggable ellipse. That if we clicked exactly on the ellipse, we could drag it around as long as we were holding down the mouse and moving it. And when we let go of it, it would stay where we left it. It was important that we were using an ellipse because it's really hard to do that with any object that doesn't have the x and y coordinate in the center of the shape. So for example, rectangles, the default is that the X and Y is the upper left. Images, also the upper left, and the default for text is the lower left. So it's really tricky. Basically, here I've got, this is a salamander that I found. He's my new friend, so I've labeled him as such. If I'm clicking here, to drag and drop and I'm checking the area of the rectangle, it keeps on trying to reassign the X and Y of the mouse X, mouse Y to this corner. So it's really hard to stay on the shape. So as soon as you move it, your arrow leaves the shape, and so it won't continue to reset there because you'll be outside of the area you established as clickable. Same thing for the text. The easy way to do that is to fix to change these images, this image and this text to have the XY coordinate in the center. So for image, the function is image mode center. Now that 150, 100, instead of being the upper left-hand corner, is going to be the center. So it's totally changed the location because now those two, that X and Y, refers to where you want to put the middle. So if I wanted to change this so it's centered again, I'm going to just say 250. I can say 250. It goes back in the center of the screen. It's a little lower. I had it above center on the y-axis. Now, for the text, I often see people trying to say text mode center, and that's not accurate. It's text align, so the alignment. It's the same if you're using Google Docs or Word or anything like that. You say you align left, right, or center. You can even get, so if you want to be specific that you want the X, Y, in the center, both horizontally and vertically, you actually can say center, comma, center. That first parameter is if you want it left, right, or center on the x-axis. And the second parameter is top, center, or bottom. And again, the default is for text, if you want to reset it, is left. If you had other text that you want to stay the way it was, left bottom is that default for text in processing. But we're going to go center, center, and again, if I wanted it, I'm going to move it lower than 350. I'll put it down at 400. But if I wanted it centered, now 100. If I left it at 100, it's going to be way over on the left-hand side. So if I wanted the y value to be centered, I'd say 250. And so now I can use the same method to click and drag and move these things. So for the image or the font, either one, I could say int x equals, I guess I'll do the font because it's a little bit trickier. So x is 250, where it would start originally, and y equals 400. And so those are the x, y of text. I'll sub in x and y here. And now I'm going to say if mouse x. This is the tricky part because we haven't covered yet how to figure out how long this this string is right here. We don't know how many pixels that covers. I'm going to estimate, I don't know, I'll say x minus 150. I'm guessing it's about 300 pixels wide, so I'm going to say if x minus 150, so if mouse x gets to be greater than the center minus 150, and mouse x is less than x plus 150. And then for y, that's a little bit easier because we know if it's 48, if it's a 48 pixel font, we know that the font will stand 48 pixels high, so half of that is 24. So if mouse y is greater than y minus 24, and mouse y is less than y plus 24, and that's when I would reset x to mouse x, and y to mouse y, close 1, 2, curly brackets, and the 1 for the method. So now you can click, drag. Let's see how close I got. So if I click over here, it's still draggable. Yep. Click over here. Yep. Maybe I went too far. Nope, actually that's I think I did pretty good in guessing that. That's about, so I get this is about 300 pixels wide then. Um, if for the purposes of projects, you're a little off on like if you click over here and still move your text, or if you stop being able to click it over here, that's totally fine. Just do your best guess at about how wide your text is if you're trying to move your text. And the principles would be same with the image. If I wanted to be able to move them both, I'd have a second set of nested conditionals and a second set of XY parameters, so X2, Y2, or different names that would reflect that that's what it was representing, the X and Y. And again, so if you've changed the alignment of your text and you want to change it back for subsequent text, you would say text align left bottom. So you know your text, that any text that happens later on in the program stays where you originally put it.